All right, another Monday, another Pauper tournament on the MTGA Daily Challenge Discord. It's historic Pauper today. So I've been taking out Kiln Fiend. I think Kiln Fiend is a really good deck. I think it's underplayed because Kiln Fiend itself requires a lot of wild cards. And then this card is also requires wild cards. I only actually have two of them. I probably would play more if I had more. I just don't really want to spend my wild cards on it. So I think the protection spells are a reason enough to go red-green. Snakeskin Veil 4 of in the main deck allows you to play the slow game where you play one of your guys that grow on turn 3 and hold up a green mana to protect your creature, and that way the next turn you can attack in. There's also this which gives the card haste as a threat late game, like when you have like 5 mana. But really you don't want to give it haste because on the earlier turns, because you're not going to be able to Temur Battle Rage. The reason why I played this deck rather than my RB burn deck is a lot of people like in this Discord are playing Gruul, and they have a lot of life goes on in the main deck or in the sideboard. They have like 3 in the sideboard most of the time, and so that's just really brutal for a burn deck at heart. I mean, it has some late game card draw and stuff, but a burn deck at heart can't really beat Life Goes On. Where this can beat a Life Goes On. So the main deck, you're just trying to maximize on the things that grow and to play Temur Battle Rage on it. There's also Raking Claws, which cycles. But what I found is you don't really want to draw multiple Temur Battle Rages. It's pretty bad. And so the Raking Claws, I just cut it. I wanted to play more creatures itself. And then that's the other thing that I'm playing is Satyr's Cunning, which is just a creature that will die if the opponent has cards that cause an opponent to sack creatures. And then I just playing all of the cards that just basically cycle at 1 mana. For my sideboard, so some anti-aggro, or if I play against a creature deck, I could be, killing their stuff, and then growing my creatures. And then against a deck with heavy removal, which that's another reason why I'm playing this deck, is I feel like people underplay removal in this Discord. Except there's a couple of people who really like Dimir control decks, and they obviously play enough removal. And so against those decks, I've cited an additional 3 Dwarven Forge-Chanters to really just overload their removal, and then cost them 2 life every time they want to remove it. And basically they just have to keep removing. And then if they can't remove, then I'm getting in for a lot of damage. So this card, the Prophet and the Forge-Chanter, are the weakest because they only grow by 1 every spell you cast. So they could technically live if they leave these alive. And so that's why this is in the board. This one, the fact that it scries helps you feed into other spells. So it's not as good, but it is reasonable in the deck because it avoids you hitting like land pockets and stuff like that. As long as you have 1 spell, obviously. If it can't avoid a land pocket if you have no spells to cast. I think that's overall just the basic lineup for the deck. I'm trying out this card. I was playing a couple more of them and less creatures to try to find the creatures. I think you just want to be just dumping creatures onto the board and not playing around with trying to find the optimal creature. So I would probably play more Dwarven Forge-Chanters before I play an Adventurous Impulse. But I'm going to max out on the 4 in the sideboard, and then additional Adventurous Impulse against control or decks with a lot of removal. And those kind of decks, that's where you kind of side out your battle rages. You kind of like leave one in the deck to really threaten them, but you don't really want too many against them because it's just a blowout if you try to cast it on one of your creatures. That's a nice thing about Crash Through and Warlord's Fury is they don't target, so they can't get blown out. And Ancestral Anger is just an overall just really awesome card, where it's worth it to have to hold up Snakeskin Veil to protect the creature that you're giving the buff to. Yeah, I suspect this deck will take some free wins. Being double a limb, I think I can get pretty far. But we'll see. I always am a little bit puzzled by kind of how what I think is a powerful deck doesn't have the greatest of showing. And then I'm going to start. Alcarin recommended I start putting the deck lists in the description of the YouTube, so I'll start doing that, as well as the link to both Discords, the MTA Daily Challenge Discord, so you can play the Pauper on the Mondays, also Pauper this Saturday, and then also the Pauper, the MTJ Pauper Discord, so you can play pickup games, read deck building, and just join us in the ladder matches. Right now we have Historic and Explorer, and we just played a standard Pauper tournament. I feel like standard Pauper may be coming to as a ladder tournament, or maybe vintage Pauper. I think both of those are popular enough now that we probably are going to have potentially 4 different ladders going on simultaneously. A ladder is basically a tournament where you just have to play 1 match per week, but then you schedule it yourself. So it works well just for people's busy schedules to be able to schedule any time during the week, and it's just 1 match, depending on how many formats. It's 1 match each format you join. All right.